Hey folks, Craig here with the Houston Museum of Natural Science. Now I'm sitting here with Carolyn Sumners.
Hi there, Craig.
How are you?
Fine.
We are next to the Foucault Pendulum that everybody, when they come here, they have to see this thing. This is their first thing they see before they go on to all the other regions we have here.
It's a good meeting place too.
It is. It's a good. I guess it's like a landmark. It's like, let's meet over here at the Foucault Pendulum. Even though what do people usually call it?
The pendulum.
The pendulum. Okay.
The swinging thing.
The swinging thing. The thing that knocks over the wooden posts. So why is this thing so special to our museum?
It's special in general because we're not powering it, in the sense that it is deciding all on its own that it's going to knock over a pin. Now, to knock over a new pin, it's got to change its rotation axis. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So it changes its rotation axis without us deciding what it should be.
And why is it changing its rotation?
Because we're turning under it.
Okay, there we go. So it proves...
The only thing that is not moving except for this swing is the pendulum. We are turning under the pendulum all the time because we're on a rotating Earth.
So it's proving that the Earth is rotating.
Something like that's got to be happening.
There we go. Something's going on. So another question somebody asked earlier was, who has to pick up all these blocks at the end of the day?
Well, we had a long discussion. I was here when we put this thing in about we can get automatic pin setters, and at 7 in the morning they go poof, and put it all back up. But you can pay somebody to do it who's already here setting up, and it was kind of decided we'll just pay somebody to do it, and so somebody sets up the things every morning.
Okay.
And it's no magic. You just stick them back where they went.
We need to find that person and see how awesome that job is.
Yeah,
because your work at the end of the day is just going to get knocked over anyway.
That's true, but it's kind of fun. I mean, it's part of the building maintenance crew, and that's one thing they have to maintain.
Very cool.
Is the pin? Oh, that one just went down.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah.
I always like watching kids stare at this thing for minutes and minutes, and they go, "Oh, it's never going to knock anything over," and then it knocks something over when they had their back turned, like we just had.
Inevitable is hardly ever news, but it's here.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you know anything?
Maybe in a world where things don't always happen when they're supposed to. This is comforting.
Yes, this will always knock something over.
It's like the planets. They just do what they do, like a clockwork precision, and they're going to do what they do no matter what we decide.
Yeah. Do you? What do you know about the scientists behind this? Leon Foucault.
Now, what's an interesting thing? The pendulum's physics is fascinating.
Yeah.
It's not dependent. Okay. If you wanted to make the pendulum swing faster, if you thought it was boring and it needed to have a swinger, what would you do?
Make the Earth turn really fast?
You can't change the rotation of the Earth. Good try.
I'm not Superman.
Though.
I am not
Good
Superman.
Try. I ask kids this all the time, and I'll give them a bunch of pendulums where they can. I mean, what could you do to make it go faster?
Yeah.
No,
you're the scientist. You tell me. I don't know. What would you do?
The only thing you can do to make it go faster is to make it shorter.
Oh, okay.
The pendulum swing, this time it takes to go from one end to the other, is totally dependent. It's period, officially called, is totally dependent on its length.
Okay, and so this thing is 60 feet long. Yeah.
61.6.
61.6. Okay.
So if you want a pendulum that is elegant, and this is an elegant swing.
Yes.
If you want an elegant swing, you've got to punch a hole in your roof. And so if you go on the top floor of the museum and you look out, there's a little pointy thing sticking up, and that's the top of the pendulum.
Wow, the thing we see when you drive by, probably.
I don't know if you can see it or not.
Okay.
Because we put a new big building next door.
Got it, okay.
But it had to stick up. We had to have that much. We decided this thing is swinging with a period of 8.6. Yeah, that was
got it. It just happened. It just knocked over a wooden spike thing. We got
peg.
Peg. It's a peg. Spikes,
scientific
pegs,
word,
wooden
peg.
Things. Yes, there we go.
8.7 seconds for one swing, one period back and forth. And this is a pendulum is used in a clock because it is because of the fact it's purely the distance. So you build your grandfather clock or whatever. And what the pendulum does absolutely accurately is it keeps its swing. It's 8.7 seconds. What it's not quite so accurate about, and it's not because of the Earth, it's because of the physics of the cable, is how fast it precesses. Precessing is the word for changing your axis of rotation.
Okay.
And so it precesses a little slower than we wanted it to, And I don't think there's a way to fix it. It's not, it's not an accurate hour-by-hour clock because there's just too much wind, too much circulation between the floors. A little twist in the cable, by the way. But the next question is, why does it keep swinging? It's not a perpetual motion machine, or maybe is it? What do you think? How would you keep the pendulum swinging without changing the direction it swings? If you go in and you push it, you're going to change the direction it swings.
Exactly, it's going to...
So you can't interfere with the direction it swings, but you want to keep it swinging.
Well, I'm not Superman. I'm not Superman. You tell me.
Okay,
you're the smart one.
You make now. After I've talked to you about how to make it go faster by making it shorter.
Make it shorter.
Which I think would be very unelegant. The string itself, the cable is ferrous. It would be attracted by a magnet, and we even put a little collar around it that was definitely attracted by a magnet, and then we put another collar around that, way up at the very top. And that collar is an electromagnet. Oh. So most of the time it doesn't work. But there's a little photocell. This is easy to imagine. And when that string or cable goes right through the center, at the moment it's in the center, the magnet turns on. And that pulls the pendulum away from the center, but doesn't give it a direction.
Okay.
So that gives it a little of a kick and keeps it swinging. And then you adjust it, the amount of time you leave on the electromagnet to maximize the swing that you get, the energy that you give it, but you don't want it on too long because it can mess up the angle because then maybe interfering a little bit. But it took us a while to adjust it, and we still fuss with it. But that's the only adjustment to this thing. That's the only energy source. There's no plugging. I mean, this is an exhibit that's always moving, and it has no plug. But up at the very top, and that little peaky thing sticking out, there is a 110 source that is turning on that electromagnet that's kicking the pendulum when it goes through the center of the swing.
Wow.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah. You know what I really like about the Earth's rotation? It really makes my day.
Oh, worked on that one, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I had to memorize that one.
Okay, if you wanted the best place on Earth to have a Foucault pendulum, where would it be?
Houston, Texas, obviously, because Houston's awesome. Okay.
Wrong.
No, okay. Where?
What would you do? Would you go north, south, east, or west?
Santa Claus's house.
Santa Claus has the best one.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah, because at the North Pole, you can imagine the pendulum swinging and the Earth turning underneath it.
Okay.
And so it every 24 hours it goes all the way around at the North Pole. What if you had a pendulum in the jungle at the equator?
It'd be all weird. It wouldn't work at all. It would
just keep swinging the same way.
Yeah.
Because there's no rotation axis there to do this. You have to, but in Houston, we're 2/3 of the way to the equator. So we don't have the best Foucault pendulum. We don't get it nearly as much kick as you would get if you were in New York City.
Farther north.
Yeah. So it's really about as far south as I'd put one of these, because you're losing the Earth's rotation component of the force.
The farther you go down.
The farther you go down toward the equator. In fact, conveniently, Houston has a latitude of 30. Do you know and do you care what the sine of 30 is? 0.5.
Oh.
And so that means the pendulum is going to go halfway around in a day. And you go, well, you only knock over half the pins. No, you knock them all over, because you knock them off on both sides.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
So we knock over all the pins like that. Click, click.
Just got another one.
But we only precess through half of a circle every day, but that gets every pin.
Okay. So
and if you go further south than that, you won't get that fast. It varies by latitude, and it gets worse as you get further to the equator.
And there are hundreds of these across the planet, right? That people they're having them out there.
Most of it in Houston or further north.
Yeah, but obviously the one in Houston is the best one.
Well, it's the prettiest.
It's the prettiest one, at least. So there we go.
And the nice thing about it is it's centrally located, and the more we've advanced the museum this direction, the more central it is. It used to be kind of on the edge of things, and then now there's an exhibit all beyond it, but there's a whole wing beyond that. So everybody has to pass through the pendulum. And then if on the second floor you got the pendulum, on the third floor you can see the pendulum. It's a good deal.
And we got new stuff coming up over here we can't talk about just yet. So there we go.
Really can't?
Not yet. Not yet. Not
Okay.
yet.
Sorry.
Don't get me in trouble.
No,
It's
when-
like my
when did that-
first
this
few
is-
weeks here. I can't get in trouble.
It was just black. It's just black and white. It can't be.
Nothing. You'll find
It's
out
just
later.
not there.
You'll find out later. Cool. All right. So you learned about the pendulum today, and I made a bunch of corny jokes, and she schooled me.
I helped him.
She helped me.
I made him better.
Thanks, guys.